Welcome back, Jeff Cameron Show, 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV. It's my great pleasure to welcome in Florida State pitching coach Micah Posey as we got a super regional to talk about, and that's thanks to a masterful performance from his staff and the arms out of the bullpen as well this past weekend. Coach, always a pleasure to have you on the show. I know you got to be in a good mood, locked in, ready to roll. What a performance this past weekend.
Yeah, appreciate it, Jeff. Yeah, we're ready to go. We're excited, and postseason baseball at Hauser, you can't get better than that.
You can't get better than your guys did over this past weekend. If I had told you you're going to get 26 outs from Dorsey, you would have said, I think I'll take that, right? And we always kind of count on Jamie Arnold, but man, that performance and what you guys have had so far, and then Whitaker as well with 61 pitches. So a lot of guys to kind of talk about. We'll look ahead to UConn. Obviously, that starts tomorrow. But how you must have been in a real zone yourself because everything you called seemed to work. Guys just executed masterfully.
Yeah, I mean, I think when you have pitchers that attack the zone and they're attacking hitters and they're just kind of laying it all out there, I think it makes my job certainly a lot easier. Sometimes when you're not attacking hitters, you're almost playing bingo with that card, trying to figure out what numbers to call. But this weekend, certainly we had a bunch of guys that were attacking the zone start to finish, and we're going to need that again this weekend.
Do you get into a rhythm the way play callers do in football, offensive coordinators and such?
Yeah, I think so. Like game one with Dorsey, he got a changeup going in the fifth, and you could clearly see, like, wow, he's got feel for this. He's starting it in the zone. He's starting below the zone. He's starting it off arm side. And so once you get the feel for, okay, this guy's got a feel for this pitch and it's locked in, I think you kind of get into a rhythm of maybe wanting to call it more. So, you're kind of – it's a cat and mouse game. A lot of it has to do with what they saw their previous at bat. There's history and those things. But a lot of times it really boils down to the pitcher executing his pitches.
Fascinated by the relationship between pitching coach and pitcher and how much of it is a feel for what they have on that day, what you're trying to execute based on the player profile at the plate, what they can execute given their last start or the previous inning or the previous pitch. Right. When do you decide, I guess, to allow them a little bit more autonomy? And or is it always just I'm calling what I'm calling, execute it time after time?
No, our guys here have a ton of autonomy. I actually encourage them to shake when they don't want something. If you ever see those guys doing that or swiping their chest, they're telling me they want something different. Oxford loves shaking me. And we have a little side bet going on how many times he's right and not right. So when he loses, he'll let me know. But no, these guys have full autonomy. They know their self. They know what they have conviction in. And I'd rather them throw a pitch that they have conviction in than throw what we call like the right pitch. So we encourage them to kind of formulate their own thoughts as well.
What's the threshold of shakes in a game before you say, all right, now?
I've had some. I had a kid. I won't say, like, it's been a few years ago, but he liked to shake. He wanted me to know he was the boss. And I think I let him call his own game at one point for the rest of the season. It ended up working out. He was pretty good.
That's funny. All right. So as we described the masterful performance from this past weekend, you think about this, it all comes after what a year ago was a disaster. And I know you don't have anything to do with that, but I think to myself that you lose Jacob Marlowe and you lose Gavin Adams, and you lose guys that you were likely going to be counting on or certainly thought would be a big part of what you were doing. This isn't fluff, but honestly, you must be very proud of the guys that have had to step up, because even after those losses, you had injuries to 2/3 of your rotation that you've had to deal with. I've asked Link questions about whether or not he thought this could be this kind of team this year. Did you think this could be this kind of staff this year, given those losses and injuries?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's hard. That's a good question. It's hard to say. I didn't really know what the staff was going to be. I knew offensively it was going to be pretty special. I mean, going up against those guys in practice, you could see how deep it was. We were fielding two teams offensively, and there was no drop off in lineup once you got to the end. On the mound, you had some special pieces. You knew you had some older guys, but as far as what the staff would end up being, you didn't really know. And then when the injuries started happening, I think everybody's reaction is you're doomed and those things. And credit to the guys that have towed the rubber, like they've stood tall and kind of not blinked a little bit. And there's been some goods and bads. Like we've taken our fair share of bads, but they've always responded and kind of kept this thing moving forward.
Yeah, there has been certainly a consistent level of execution and success. You have outliers or moments where you wonder which way it's going to go, right? I think probably post Clemson, you
Yeah,
probably
absolutely.
wondered where that would go. You and I had an opportunity to talk about that Clemson series just a little bit. Let's look at that from there. What was learned? I mean, that was a bizarre series and everything from what was going on with baseball ops there that I've made fun of and all of that. But I mean, there were real meltdowns there. You had to worry about the psyche of your guys probably leaving there.
Yeah, when we left there, I mean, the question as a coach you're thinking, and the fan base, we all have the same thoughts. Like, is this going to be what it is moving forward, or are these guys going to be able to overcome adversity? And any good team overcomes adversity. They're able to kind of, learn from it and move past it, and have bulletproof confidence and short-term memory. And so for these guys, they've definitely took those experiences and they moved past them. And I don't think they let those define them. And I think we didn't accept the failure, but I think we allowed them to fail and learn from those failures.
Everybody's wondering, or at least I am. I just flew back in late last night from New York, so you may have already answered the question. Link may have already answered the question. You'll have to forgive me. We going Jamie Arnold game 1 or game 2, if only because there's a question of less rest or more rest with Dorsey would have an extra day if he didn't go. I'm curious how you go about the process here.
Yeah, we've got an order in place. Link's going to announce at 2:30. I let him. He's the head man. That's above my pay grade, so I know
that's a fair answer. That's a fair.
But it will be an Arnold Dorsey situation. Game 1 and 2. We just got to at 2:30 he'll announce the order. But when you're going and looking at this thing, you're looking at a lot of different angles, and it's not like last weekend where you're trying to maybe match up certain guys on certain teams. Like this weekend, it probably more about rest and those things. So.
Yeah, I always wonder. I'm actually more interested in that answer than I am the actual names of the starters. Like you have, I would assume, and we'll have to dance around this so you're not giving it away. But I would guess you have an order of importance in terms of the rest as opposed to number of what would Carson throw 100 and whatever pitches? Yeah. Yeah, so you start to factor in the number of for any pitcher, the number of pitches they threw when they were asked to start. You factor in things like an extra day's rest or one less day's rest. You factor in probably, I don't know, home or away even. Obviously it's at home at Hauser. Guys pitch differently at home than they do on the road. How do you factor all these? Or is it the individual? Is it the guy? Is it, some guys have a rubber arm. So I'm wondering how you factor all this in.
It's a case-by-case basis. Each guy is different. So you're looking at each guy like, some guys have rubber arms, some guys, and the thing that people don't realize is the pitcher might recover and be able to pitch on that 6th or 7th day. But if you give him one extra day, maybe the fastball life looks a little bit different, and so you're going case by case basis and just trying to figure out, we're trying to win 2 of 3 here. So what gives us the best chance to do that? And, what gives our guys the best opportunity of their best stuff, because that's what we're going to need this weekend.
Yeah, absolutely. And we all know, I was going back through and looking at over the years, I've been covering these regionals and super regionals 27 years. And I'm thinking back to how important it is to win that first game. It's amazing. Statistically, it comes out to like over 70%, I believe I saw.
Yeah.
Pretty amazing. You chalk that up to the fact that it's still kind of kids, right? It's not Major League Baseball where momentum is the next day's starter. In college baseball, they're subject a little bit more to the whims of emotion. I wonder if that's why it's that high.
Yeah, I think it's an emotional thing. And also, like, I think I've been on the wrong side. I've been in the 30% of that. We played Virginia Super Regional tournament at Dos Baptist. We won game 1 against Virginia Super at South Carolina. And then game 2, McGarry came in, and he was throwing 98 to 100 with 87-mile-an-hour curveball that was going, like, down. It looked like Paul Scenes, like, yeah. I know you're a Pirates fan, you relate to that. Like, that's kind of what it looked like, and we had no shot. And then on game 3, it was kind of a back and forth deal. But, the 70%, I mean, I think any series winning game 1 is important. And so, yeah, that's definitely going to be important for us. And I think in this series, every game is important. If you can win game 1, like game 2 is as important to close it out. You don't want to go to game 3. So every game's equally important, and, you're kind of gunning to win each game.
Well, that does bring me to the next question, since you bring it up. I know coaches don't love to deal in hypotheticals, but I am thinking about philosophy here. Obviously, because we saw Connor Whitaker do what he did and get extended to over 60 pitches. Mm-hmm. And really, I thought after that first inning, he was able to get the ground balls and that low fastball, right?
Mhm.
You were able
Yep.
to see the things that make him effective.
Yep.
No matter who's on the mound in game 2, if we're at a point where there's a chance to win the whole thing right here, right now, is he available in that spot, or do you hold him for a potential game 3 start?
No, he's available. Yeah. Connor will be available. He'll be a guy that you're not looking to save bullets in this thing. So he'll
Okay.
definitely be available. He'd be available every game, to be honest with you. And we've talked to him about that at nauseam. We set up his bullpen schedule this week to be ready to go in every game. So, he's a guy that you're definitely not trying to conserve and those things. If he gives you the best shot to win, like I think you play to win each game individually. And then as you get to the next day, you reassess where you're at, and you definitely don't look forward in this thing. That's for sure.
Well, in this sense, then it's just like a weekend series in the ACC, right? I
Yeah.
know there's more on the line, but the
Yep.
way you think about it, right?
Yeah, and if you look at our ACC series, like we TBD'd every Sunday, just
Yep.
that way if we needed to use a reliever on Friday, so we could do that, and then whoever we didn't use, we started on Sunday, and so that's going to be kind of. I'm not saying that's what we're doing this weekend, but that's going to be kind of similar thought process.
You look at this past weekend, and it bodes well if we continue down the trajectory of so many guys that you're relying on. Now we've seen the names, whether it's a Holtz or an Oxford or Abraham and Charles. We can go on and on and on, right? Everybody seemed to have their moments when they didn't get called on a lot. It was really nice to be able to have starters eat up innings in the manner that they did.
Mhm.
But I thought guys looked like they were their best selves for the most part. You may quibble with Holtzy not being as good as he can be, but I think for the most part, I think you saw everybody look like they were executing the kinds of things that allow them to excel.
Yeah, these guys, they were their best version, and they look comfortable, and nobody looks sped up. And I definitely credit the crowd, like they're behind the guys, and I think that's a big piece here. Like if you look at the home record, like when the crowd gets behind these guys, they feel bulletproof sometimes. And Holtzy, he might not, like the line, he gave a couple of runs, but like he hopped on 9 outs. He shortened the game up for us massively.
Right.
And so that might be kind of one of those unsung heroes. He just, the curveball he left up to the big righty, who he actually got a double play ball against the same hitter with the bases loaded the previous at bat. But, for him to hop on 9 outs was huge for us.
You don't normally want that from him, right? I mean, it's great if you get it, but he's the kind of guy who throws something that people can adjust to over time.
Yeah, you want him one time through the lineup usually. If he gets through a second time, I think he's fine. I think for him, he's gotten the fastball going a little bit more lately. So I think rolling over that lineup a couple of times is not as hard. But for certainly, he's a guy that you want to get him in, let him spin those breaking balls, see it one time, and maybe get him out. But he's the type of guy. He's a competitor. He's tough, and even if they've seen him one time through, like we still trust him to kind of keep going.
Final thing, Coach, and you've been kind with your time, and I appreciate it. I know how intensely focused you and the staff are right now with a game tomorrow. Do you go about the conversation with your guys any differently when you're talking about a super, you're talking about a dream come true, you're talking about a right to go to Omaha, or is this just status quo, man? We've played games all year long. I'm not changing anything about how I talk to you, how I prepare you, or how I even manage you.
Yeah, I mean, we're trying to keep it as simple as possible. Trying to keep the vibes the same. It's still baseball. You got to win a game. I think the one thing you're trying to maybe avoid is the word Omaha, because I think when you start talking about that, you're getting into the future and you're looking forward. So we're trying to stay as presently focused as possible. Going 1-0, winning one game at a time. Coach Jarrett talks about that a lot. Like just think about winning this game today and going 1-0. And so we're putting all our energy into that. So this time of year, it can get a little difficult when the word Omaha starts getting thrown around and those things. But we're not doing anything different. The preparation is the same. I told the guys at Hayes in the barn, it's time to go out and play, and that's kind of what we're doing. So,
you like, by the way, Coach, you like 11 a.m. noons, 11, like early in the, you like this or no?
I like Club Hauser, but I don't think the Northeast guys, maybe the 98 degree, I don't know how they'll feel about that. I think, this is a greedy group that's coming down from the Northeast. They're tough dudes. I'm sure, they'll play us on fire if they have to, but definitely we feel like this might be maybe a home field advantage with the fans and the heat, and it might be a good thing. So,
yeah, that's a gritty group with a bunch of grad guys, transfers, and all that other stuff, and they've been real successful. If you want to, I was remiss, I didn't ask you anything about their lineup. Obviously, we saw them beat Oklahoma, and we saw them execute on the mound as well. I think their starters have been outstanding. They rely on them to go deep into games. They've got 3 arms out of the bullpen that they've been pretty consistent with. Any thoughts on this UConn team who really, once you get past all the northern teams that start on the road are tough because they got to play so many games away from home to start the year. I think in UConn's case, I saw 18 straight road
Yeah.
games or 20, something like that, right?
Yeah. They're gritty. They're tough. You know, they got a good blend. The Lions got a good blend of power, speed. They can use a short game. They're going to bunt. So they got a bunch of different ways they can drum up offense. I think 6 grad transfers or seniors in the lineup. So you got an old team. Same on the mound, a lot of transfers, older guys. They throw strikes. They come into baseball, and they're very well coached. You know, that coaching staff, I think, is the longest tenured staff in the country in divisional baseball. They've been together a long time, and there's some autonomy there. And so, you know, you got a tough, gritty group, older guys, and they're probably not going to be too sped up in here. But at the same time, like, there will be, you know, home field advantage in this thing is huge, and that's why getting a national seed was big for us.
Congratulations, Coach. Enjoy the weekend. Get after it. It'll talk to you again, hopefully, afterwards. And I've appreciated your time all year. Be well, sir.
All right, Jeff. Thank you for your time. I appreciate you, man.
Yeah, absolutely. Take care.
Right.
That's pitching coach Micah Posey joining us on the Jeff Cameron Show, as he's done frequently all season long. Love gaining his insights as to what his staff has done, what this team has done. They've been a resilient group, and what a turnaround season. Jeff Cameron Show 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV.